Hello, this is Shay Jackson with Hype Math and Reading, and in today's video, we will be reviewing for the 2022 Texas STAAR Math Test for 5th graders. Our concept is comparing and ordering decimals. This is part 3. Remember, 5th graders, dream big. Your attitude, not your aptitude, will determine your altitude. Do you need a math or reading tutor? We offer virtual one-on-one or group tutoring for 2nd to 8th grade students. There is a link in the description box for parents to sign up for a free 30-minute consultation. We have our 5th grade math review workbook and our 5th grade reading review workbook available in our store for purchase. Our 5th grade reading book release is January 28th. However, you can pre-order your book today. Again, the links will be in the description box. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell so that you will be alerted to new videos that are uploaded. Let's review how to compare and order decimal values. Step 1. Write the numbers lining up the places. And for decimals, you want to make sure that the decimals are in a straight line. Step 2, begin at the farthest left place value to compare the digits of the same place value. Step 3, if the numbers are the same in the place values, continue to the right until you can compare different numbers. And step 4, write the numbers according to the directions. Is it telling you from least to greatest or greatest to least? So let's look at an example using whole numbers. However, the concept is still the same with decimals. For this list, we are looking to order the numbers from greatest to least. So for our step 1, we are going to write the numbers and line up the place values. Our numbers are 9,245, 6,082, 8,970, and 5,329. We're going to begin with the furthest left place value, which is in our thousands place, and we're looking at the ones column. We see that there's a 9, 6, 8, and 5. We can skip step 3 because in looking at our numbers, there are no numbers that are the same. Now we can go to step 4. So we're listing our numbers from greatest to least. So when we're looking and focusing on the ones placed in the thousands category, we see again we have a 9, 6, 8, and 5. And we are going to ask ourselves, what is the largest number in this list? And it is 9. So 9,245 would be the first number in our list. Now we're going to ask ourselves, what is the second largest number? And that is 8. So 8,970 is the second number in our list. Now we just need to look at 6 and 5. What's the greatest number between 6 and 5? It is 6. So 6,082 would be our third number in our list. And last, we have 5,329, which is the least or smallest number in our list. Let's look at number 7. And again, you can purchase the 5th grade review workbook to follow along with us as we go through our problems. Number 7 says, which list shows the numbers not in order from least to greatest? We have F, 4 and 36 thousandths is less than 4 and 8 hundredths, which is less than 4 and 2 tenths, which is less than 4 and 201 thousandths. G, 3 and 9 hundredths is less than 3 and 1 tenth, which is less than 3 and 607 thousandths, which is less than 3 and 9 tenths. Or H, 6 and 4 tenths is less than 6 and 51 hundredths, which is less than 6 and 387 thousandths, which is less than 6 and 995 thousandths. Or J, 7 and 315 thousandths is less than 7 and 38 hundredths, which is less than 7 and 406 thousandths, which is less than 7 and 5 tenths. Guys, that was a tongue twister, okay? So to solve this problem, our very important question we always need to ask first is, what are we looking for? We are looking for the list of numbers that is not in order from least to greatest. The second most important question is, what information can help find the answer? The information that can help find the answer is just a list of numbers because we need to order them from least to greatest, or determine as we're listing them and going through our steps which one does not have a list from the smallest number to the greatest number. How do we solve the problem? In order for us to solve the problem, what we're going to do is go down each list to compare the numbers and make sure they are ordered from least to greatest, okay? So let's start with F. We have our numbers lined up. We're going to start with step 1, and we're going to look through all of the answer choices, and then we'll focus on each answer choice separately. So our step 1 is making sure that we line our numbers up with the place values correctly. And yes, we've done that for each one of our answer choices because our decimals are in a straight, perfect line, which means that when we compare the place values, we know that we're looking at the numbers that we're looking at, they are all in the same place value, okay? Then we said for step 2, we're going to start at the furthest left side, and that place value is our ones place, okay? So now let's just focus in on F. So all of the numbers have a 4 in the ones place, so we're going to move to the right to the tenths place to compare the numbers. Now in looking at the tenths place, we can see that we have zeros and twos, which means that we need to move over one more place value, which is the hundredths place, and we're going to start with our top 2 numbers. So number 1, both of the numbers have a 0 in the tenths place. Now we just need to zero in on the hundredths place to see if it's ordered from least to greatest. Since 3 is less than 8, we know that those 2 numbers are correct, okay? So now we need to focus on the bottom 2 numbers. So for 4.2 or 4 and 2 tenths, and then we have 4 and 201 thousandths, both of them have a 4 in the ones place, which we already talked about. Now we're moving to the tenths place. They both have a 2, and now we're going to move to the hundredths place. But we see that the 2 stops at just the tenths place, and it doesn't have a number for the hundredths or the thousandths place. So when we see that, what we're going to do is we are going to add our placeholders, okay? These are the correct place values, even though we just put them there. So Miss Jackson didn't just randomly put them there, okay? Whenever you do not have a number in the place value, it's actually a 0, okay? And we're going to put them there because we need to see what the number and be able to compare it with that other number. So looking at the hundredths place, both of them have a 0, okay? Now we need to move to the thousandths place. And our top number has a 0 and the bottom one has a 1. So yes, F is listed from least to greatest, okay? Now let's move to G. We know that all of the numbers have a 3 in the ones place. Now we need to move to the tenths place, okay? And in looking at the tenths place, we see we have a 0, a 1, a 6, and a 9. Well, if we're looking for the order that is not from least to greatest, this answer choice is not it, because yes, 0 is the smallest number and we gradually go up 1, 6, and 9 to the greatest number. So G is not our list. Now let's move to H. We know, like we talked about before, that all of the numbers have a 6 in the ones place. Now we need to focus on the tenths place. And in the tenths place, we have a 4, 5, 3, and 9. So we're trying to order from least to greatest. Well, if we're ordering from least to greatest, 3 would actually go first, right? Because that's the smallest number in the tenths place. Then it would be 4, then 5, and then 9. So H potentially is the correct answer because it's ordered incorrectly, okay? But let's just look at J. We're hopeful, but let's just look at J just to make sure that that is correct. So in looking at J, we know that all of the numbers have a 7 in the ones place. Now we're going to move to the tenths place. And in the tenths place, we see that the first 2 numbers have a 3 in the tenths place. So what do we need to do? Our step 3 said we need to move to the next place value to the right, which is the hundredths place. And in the hundredths place, we have a 1 and we have an 8. Well, since we know that 1 is least than 8 or smaller than 8, that is listed correctly. And the 7 and 315 thousandths is correct. Then we have the 7 and 38 hundredths. Now we need to focus on the last 2 numbers. They have in the tenths place. We have a 4 and a 5, and yes, those are listed correctly. So when we ask ourselves, what is the correct number? It is H. H is not ordered from least to greatest. And that's how you have to walk through when comparing and ordering numbers, and just being able to look and see what the directions say and go through those different steps to compare and order decimal values. Let's look at number 8. Elias has 3 containers of cooking oil. The table shows the volume of cooking oil in each container. Which list shows the containers in order from least to greatest volume in liters? Okay. Is it A, container X, container Y, container Z? B, container Y, container X, container Z? C, container Z, container Y, container X? Or D, container Z, container X, container Y? Well, let's look at our table and look and see what these containers have. So for container X, we have 946 thousandths. For Y, it's 502 thousandths. And for Z, it's 1 and 42 hundredths. So what is our most important question? It is, what are we looking for? We are looking for the list of containers that is ordered from least to greatest. What information can help us find the answer? Knowing the volume of each container of cooking oil. So again, container X is 946 thousandths. Container Y is 502 thousandths, and container Z is 1 and 42 hundredths. So how do we solve the problem? Well, in order for us to solve the problem, what we're going to do is go through our steps when we compare and order decimals. We are going to make sure that our place values are lined up like step 1 says, and yes, our decimal points are lined up. That means our place values will be correct. Next, we need to start at the furthest left place value, which is the ones place, to see and begin to compare and order the numbers. Now, we're moving to step 3 because if we look at container X and container Y, they both contain a 0 or have a 0 in the ones place. So now we need to move to the tens place. In the tens place, container X has a 9 and container Y has a 5. Since we're ordering from least to greatest, our first container would be container Y because it's 502 thousandths, and then it would be container X, which is 946 thousandths. And the last one, which is container Z, is 1 and 42 thousandths. So since we know that container Y is our first number, we can eliminate all of the answer choices that do not list container Y first, because we know that we're ordering our numbers from least to greatest, and we've already went through comparing and ordering our decimal values to determine that container Y is the least or the smallest has the smallest container volume. That means we can cross out A, C, and D as potential right choices because they do not have container Y as the first listed container. And since we've eliminated all of those, our correct answer is B. In ordering our containers from least to greatest, it is container Y, container X, and container Z. That is it for our review of not place orders. For comparing decimals, if you need a math or reading tutor, there will be a link in the description box. Also, remember we have our 5th grade math review workbook and our 5th grade reading review workbook available for purchase in our store. This is Shay Jackson with Hype Math and Reading. I will talk to you later.